Uttarpara Speech. Delivered at Uttarpara, Bengal, on May 30, 1909. Text published in the Bengali, an English-language newspaper of Calcutta, on 1 June. Thoroughly revised by Sri Aurobindo and republished in the Karmayojan on 19 and 26 June. When I was asked to speak to you at the annual meeting of your Sabha, it was my intention to say a few words about the subject chosen for today, the subject of the Hindu religion. I do not know now whether I shall fulfill that intention. For as I sat here, there came into my mind a word that I have to speak to you, a word that I have to speak to the whole of the Indian nation. It was spoken first to myself in jail, and I have come out of jail to speak it to my people. It was more than a year ago that I came here last. When I came I was not alone. One of the mightiest prophets of nationalism sat by my side. It was he who then came out of the seclusion to which God had sent him, so that in the silence and solitude of his cell he might hear the word that he had to say. It was he that you came in your hundreds to welcome. Now he is far away, separated from us by thousands of miles. Others whom I was accustomed to find working beside me are absent. The storm that swept over the country has scattered them far and wide. It is I this time who have spent 1 year in seclusion, and now that I come out I find all changed. One who always sat by my side and was associated in my work is a prisoner in Burma. Another is in the north rotting in detention. I looked round when I came out. I looked round for those to whom I had been accustomed to look for counsel and inspiration. I did not find them. There was more than that. When I went to jail, the whole country was alive with the cry of Band Mataram, alive with the hope of a nation, the hope of millions of men who had newly risen out of degradation. When I came out of jail I listened for that cry, but there was instead a silence. A hush had fallen on the country and men seemed bewildered. For instead of God's bright heaven full of the vision of the future that had been before us, there seemed to be overhead a leaden sky from which human thunders and lightnings rained. No man seemed to know which way to move, and from all sides came the question, what shall we do next? What is there that we can do? I too did not know which way to move, I too did not know what was next to be done. But one thing I knew, that as it was the almighty power of God which had raised that cry, that hope, so it was the same power which had sent down that silence. He who was in the shouting and the movement was also in the pause and the hush. He has sent it upon us, so that the nation might draw back for a moment and look into itself and know his will. I have not been disheartened by that silence, because I had been made familiar with silence in my prison and because I knew it was in the pause and the hush that I had myself learned this lesson through the long year of my detention. When Bipin Chandra Pal came out of jail, he came with a message, and it was an inspired message. I remember the speech he made here. It was a speech not so much political as religious in its bearing and intention. He spoke of his realization in jail, of God within us all, of the Lord within the nation, and in his subsequent speeches also he spoke of a greater-than-ordinary force in the movement and a greater-than-ordinary purpose before it. Now I also meet you again, I also come out of jail, and again it is you of Uttarpara who are the first to welcome me, not at a political meeting but at a meeting of a society for the protection of our religion. That message which Bipin Chandra Pal received in Buxar jail, God gave to me in Alipur. That knowledge he gave to me day after day during my 12 months of imprisonment, and it is that which he has commanded me to speak to you now that I have come out. I knew I would come out. The year of detention was meant only for a year of seclusion and of training. How could anyone hold me in jail longer than was necessary for God's purpose? He had given me a word to speak and a work to do, and until that word was spoken I knew that no human power could hush me. Until that work was done no human power could stop God's instrument, however weak that instrument might be or however small. Now that I have come out, even in these few minutes, a word has been suggested to me which I had no wish to speak. The thing I had in my mind he has thrown from it, and what I speak is under an impulse and a compulsion. When I was arrested and hurried to the Lal Bazar Hadjut I was shaken in faith for a while, for I could not look into the heart of his intention. Therefore I faltered for a moment and cried out in my heart to him, "What is this that has happened to me?" I believed that I had a mission to work for the people of my country, and until that work was done, I should have thy protection. Why then am I here and on such a charge?" A day passed, and a second day, and a third, when a voice came to me from within, "Wait and see." Then I grew calm and waited. I was taken from Lal Bazar to Alipur and was placed for 1 month in a solitary cell apart from men. There I waited day and night for the voice of God within me, to know what He had to say to me, to learn what I had to do. In the seclusion the earliest realization, the first lesson came to me. I remembered then that a month or more before my arrest, a call had come to me to put aside all activity, to go into seclusion and to look into myself, so that I might enter into closer communion with Him. I was weak and could not accept the call. My work was very dear to me, and in the pride of my heart I thought that unless I was there, it would suffer or even fail and cease. Therefore I would not leave it. It seemed to me that He spoke to me again and said, "The bonds you had not strength to break, I have broken for you, because it is not my will, nor was it ever my intention that that should continue. I have another thing for you to do, and it is for that I have brought you here, to teach you what you could not learn for yourself and to train you for my work." Then He placed the Gita in my hands. His strength entered into me and I was able to do the sadhana of the Gita. I was not only to understand intellectually but to realize what Sri Krishna demanded of Arjuna and what he demands of those who aspire to do his work, to be free from repulsion and desire, to do work for him without the demand for fruit, to renounce self-will and become a passive and faithful instrument in His hands, to have an equal heart for high and low, friend and opponent, success and failure, yet not to do His work negligently. I realized what the Hindu religion meant. We speak often of the Hindu religion, of the Sanatana Dharma, but few of us really know what that religion is. Other religions are preponderatingly religions of faith and profession, but the Sanatana Dharma is life itself. It is a thing that has not so much to be believed as lived. This is the Dharma that for the salvation of humanity was cherished in the seclusion of this peninsula from of old. It is to give this religion that India is rising. She does not rise as other countries do, for self or when she is strong, to trample on the weak.